Welcome back, everyone. Today, I am beyond excited to dig into what has got to be the absolute most bizarre, intensely dark, and frankly completely unhinged philosophical symposium we've ever analyzed for an explainer. We're breaking down the existential dialogues of the solitary and strange. If you've ever found yourself wondering what happens to a mind left entirely to its own devices, or, if you just want to feel incredibly small and insignificant in the grand cosmic scheme, well, you are in exactly the right place. Grab your favorite flavor of existential dread, and let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this beautifully morbid agenda. We're covering 1. The superpowers of extreme loneliness. 2. Extreme hacks for pure imagination. 3. Measuring fractals of terrible luck. 4. Spiderwebs and absolute determinism. And 5. Dark matter's squalid reality. Like I said, incredibly bleak schedule, so let's jump right in.
Section 1. The superpowers of extreme loneliness.
Now, what's really interesting here is our first subject. We have a monk who spent a full 1,000 years entirely alone in a concrete box. Why? Just to see if loneliness is a social construct or an inescapable biological reality. And the results are, well, they're hilarious. Over a millennium of solitude, he claims to have developed literal biological superpowers. He can jump as high as a flea, survive without oxygen like a microscopic loriciferin, run at the speed of cheetahs. Absolutely incredible, right? But what is the actual execution status of these powers? Well, he is simply too melancholic to execute any of them. The depression of sitting in a concrete box for 1,000 years has completely shot his concentration. He assures us he totally could do them. He just, really doesn't have the mindset for it today.
Which brings us to the monk's ultimate devastating finding. He notes that sure, staying inside a concrete box technically makes you physically safer. But there is a reason creatures actually go outside. Solitude acts as an inescapable internal miniature black hole. It literally devours a person bit by bit from the inside. So yeah, you might live 1,000 years and theoretically learn to run like a cheetah, but that internal void, it's going to make you way too sad to ever actually try. A phenomenal, if totally tragic discovery.
Moving on to Section 2. Extreme hacks for pure imagination. Here we meet a human mage who presents a rather drastic biological workaround for achieving completely uninhibited imagination. His core hypothesis is basically that the visual sense is totally all-enveloping. It prevents the quintessential use of the imagination because it anchors you down with heavy baggage. To this mage, human eyesight is basically a massive anchor dragging your mind through the mud. He compares hearing to a momentary anchor like a bat buzzing past your head, but visual input, that's like being completely trapped in a room. If your eyes are open, you aren't actually imagining, you're just rehashing incoming visual data. So, what is the entirely logical, totally sane scientific solution to this? Well, step 1, disable your nociceptors. Those are your pain receptors. Obviously very smart. Step 2, isolate yourself in an existential sensory deprivation tank. Step 3, literally just pluck your own eyes out. Just pop them right out of your head to free the mind. And then we hit the comedic tragedy of step 4. He did all of this, went through all that self-mutilation, only to find he was just deterministically hallucinating his own past anyway. No pure imagination, no incredible novel fantasies, just an inescapable mental rerun of what he had already experienced.
And this catastrophic failure led the mage straight into a profound existential crisis. Are biological brains just artificial deterministic machines? I mean, think about it. If you go to the absolute extreme of plucking out your own eyeballs and isolating your body in a tank, and your brain still rigidly plays back inevitable thoughts that you cannot sway, is human thought completely inescapable? It's a terrifying proposition that makes pulling your own eyes out seem, frankly, a little bit redundant.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Measuring fractals of terrible luck. Our third subject is a multidimensional cat who is attempting something genuinely groundbreaking. They are trying to apply the rigorous scientific method to profound, agonizing misfortune. The cat formally introduces us to the concept of fractals of terrible luck. Now, this isn't just about rolling the dice and losing a bet. This is about the compounding, exponential nature of negative outcomes. It's the theory that initial bad luck fundamentally alters your existence to establish further consecutive bad luck. It's an objective, existential quality of negativity that stacks on top of itself in a geometric, totally inescapable pattern.
To prove this absolutely unhinged theory, the cat proposes a rigorous double-blind methodology. First, you perform a random, chaotic action. Then, you record the binary outcome. Was it good or bad? You repeat this until you have a statistically sensible sample size. And finally, you check for an extreme negative skew. The cat argues that if you hit 10 terrible, life-ruining outcomes in a row, it is mathematically impossible for that to just be random chance. You aren't just unlucky, you are trapped in an existential fractal of terrible luck. It's science, folks!
Section 4. Spiderwebs and absolute determinism.
Next, we turn to the mutant spider, who views its web not just as a trap, but as a fiery symbol of inevitable time. And it presents a brilliant, completely deadpan observation about human psychology. Let's compare two concepts. Concept 1 is the locus of control. That's the healthy, celebrated psychological belief that you direct your own life. Concept 2 is delusions of reference. That is a psychiatric condition where you falsely believe external, random events are somehow directly connected to you. The spider elegantly points out that these are literally the exact same delusion. In both scenarios, your brain is just tricking you into thinking you have a special, personal connection to the external universe. Society just randomly decided to call one of them healthy and the other one crazy.
So if you aren't making your choices, who actually is? The spider offers up this terrifying list of objective, hidden drivers behind your life. First up, inevitable past events. Hindsight always shows that the past inevitably determined the present. Second, dopamine. It physically directs your gaze to whatever is biologically convenient, which makes the whole idea of choosing what to look at an absolute joke. And third, literal biochemical manipulation by parasites. Microscopic organisms in your gut and your brain are pulling your levers. You aren't a free-thinking individual. You are just a highly complex meat vehicle for dopamine and parasites.
And this brilliantly illustrates the spider's ultimate worldview on exactly how much control you have over reality. Imagine a chart where one single, solid slice takes up 100% of the circle, proudly labeled universal deterministic inevitability. The spider notes that realizing this objective lack of agency should logically lead you to absolute dejection and total inaction, which, hilariously enough, just fulfills the deterministic prophecy anyway. There is literally no way out. You really can't win. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Dark Matter's Squalid Reality.
Finally, we reach the skeleton mage, who taps into the existential source of the Big Bang itself to draw a hilariously morbid comparison. Think about the human heart for a second. It's vital, sure, but if you actually crack someone open and look at it, it reveals the raw, squalid, messy, deeply disgusting reality of our biology. Well, the mage argues that dark matter is the exact same thing, just on a cosmic scale. Dark matter is the literal heart of existence. It pervades absolutely everything. And if a human mind were to actually perceive it in all its raw distinction, it would be so squalid and so horrifying that it would render the observer completely unable to accept reality itself.
So, what exactly happens if you accidentally tap into this squalid cosmic truth? Well, the skeleton mage provides us with a very limited, very bleak menu of coping mechanisms. Option 1, you simply pretend to ignore the fundamental reality you just witnessed. Or option 2, you just go along with the tide of experiential necessities, completely disregarding the contradictory, horrifying nature underlying absolutely everything. As the mage playfully asks, exquisite, no? You basically just have to keep moving forward completely oblivious because the alternative is a total mental breakdown.
So, the crucial point is, look at what we've learned today. Solitude destroys you from the inside out. Plucking out your own eyes won't stop your deterministic thoughts. Bad luck is mathematically stacking against you, parasites control your choices, and the entire universe is held together by an unimaginably disgusting cosmic heart. Awesome. It leaves us with this final, beautifully bleak question. Are we all just deterministically bound to suffer the void? It's a fun little question I'll leave you to ponder as you go about your perfectly ordinary, completely predetermined day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the squalid reality around you.